Western Spring Television, ours it is.
The Ministry of Lands and Fiscal Planning has to deal with a number of issues, mostly bordering on encroachment, illegal structures, a doubtful accusation, border dispute, and violation of building plans in several parts of OSUN State. But it is pleasant to know that the ministry, through the support of government, has risen to the challenges brought about by flagrant disobedience to land laws, which reached a peak before Governor Ademola Adeleke took office on the 20th November 2022. Today, the Ministry of Lands and Fiscal Planning is structured in such manners that land acquisition via certificate of occupancy adherence to planning rules and strengthening the capacity of the ministry to maximize the benefit of land for internally generated revenues, among others, have been put in place. The ministry is also being positioned to carry out government's urban renewal program, which has dominated activities across all sectors in OSUN State. On Living Spring Update, episode 15, we are looking at this and other sundry issues of interest to government and people of OSUN State, which the Ministry of Lands and Fiscal Planning have been attending to in the last 2 years of the Adeleke's purpose-driven administration. I am your anchor, Tomilola Daniel.
OSUN State Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning has the core mandate to secure and manage all lands and landed property that belongs to the government and ensure that people who domicile on such lands live in peace and in strict compliance with law and order. For a state blessed with fertile lands, put at approximately 14,876 square kilometers, OSUN enjoys the natural climate of a tropical rainforest. This presupposes a robust competition between indigenes and residents for choice lands for residential, industrial, and commercial purposes. Government, as a regulatory body constitutionally empowered to manage land resources, has continuously maintained an eagle eye on allocation, deployment, and management of land to ensure enforcement of extant laws and preserve land tenureship in accordance with native customs and tradition. With this pedigree, the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning has placed premium on integrating the old and new land acquisition laws for appropriate balancing in such ways that litigations, communal tensions, and clashes among the people are reduced to the barest minimum. OSUN State Commissioner for Lands and Physical Planning, Honorable George Ibitayo Alabi, said land is a precious material that has been coveted by man since time immemorial. Therefore, land issues are part of human activities, growth, development, and relations. Issues generated by the quest for land have determined the ministry's activities in the last 2 years, while efforts have been renewed to tackle tussles where such exist. In addition, the ministry has deployed measures to align land acquisition and development to new ideas and innovation that allow adherence to planning rules.
We get land for the use of government and agencies like TESCOM, Superb, and other agencies. We try and get land for the use of agencies, then among other things also, we try and manage government land anywhere they are. You know, we have a lot of encroachers here and there. Nowadays, we try and manage it so that people will not go on to encroach on government land. As we are aware, government goes, government comes. We thank God since the resumption of our governor as the executive governor of OSUN State, a lot of innovation has been brought to the Ministry of Land. I resumed here last year, July. We discovered that we had issue with this issuance of certificate of occupancy, that it really takes long before people can get it. But thank God, with the input of His Excellencies and other ESCOs, we have been able to bring in a new innovation, whereby you can now get your C of O within 45 days. That is the day we start counting after the Surveyor General has cleared your survey plan. That one is very, very important, because as we are now, we are doing the pilot testing. We discovered that most of the survey plans submitted online by people are not a genuine survey, or they have not been cleared by the Surveyor General. So before you can receive that CFO within 45 days, you will start counting the day the Surveyor General clear your survey plan. That one is very important. But from that date, I can assure you, you will get your CFO within 45 days. You see, land issues or litigations on lands have been on for years and years, and it will continue like that. But since our resumption here, we thank God we have been able to manage it very well. If you yourself could observe, there is now less noise on issues of land litigation, because at times we record them both sides. We use native intelligence to settle most of these land issues, and even issues bordering on demarcation of land within the local government and even the state. Though we have boundary commission that take care of the boundary within the state to state, but so far we have been able to manage it very well. That there is now a sort of a cordial relationship between the developers, the government, and the community.
Nítorí máa ṣẹlẹ̀ ní ìsìn ni pé tẹ́ ẹ bá ti ń kọ lẹ́tà ṣe gbọ́ mi, tí kò bá ti ṣẹlẹ̀ tẹ́ bá ti sọ fún chairman, tẹ́ bá ti fọmọ eré ní lẹ́tà, ẹ copy essay, ẹ the copies of the governor, ẹ copy ẹ, so that gbogbo alamari. Tàwárẹ̀ ti rí a máa swing into action. Torí tí o bá sí peace, if there is no peace in any community, if there is no peace in a state, kò lè sí development bẹ́ẹ̀.
Claims and counterclaims on lands involving government, communities, and private developers have engaged public attention and generated mentions on several media channels in recent times. The Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning is not oblivious of such claims and the interests linked to the claims. There are, however, indications that government is responsive to the issues and interests conceived. The Special Advisor to the Governor on Land Matters, Honorable Olaniyan Jelili Abiodun, told Living Spring Update that the state government is mindful of the havoc which complacent attitudes to land activities can wreak on peace and development, and this has informed the suspension of activities on disputed lands until amicable solutions are found. He spoke on the in-house economic values of land and how the values can be maximized if land matters are treated to accommodate the interest of all stakeholders.
Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning ó jẹ́ ìkan pàtàkì nínú ẹ̀ka ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun tí ó sì ṣe fọwọ́rọ́ sí ẹ̀yìn. Gbogbo wa náà la mọ̀ wípé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ń tọrọ mọ́ Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning gẹ́gẹ́ bí orúkọ tó wà lẹ́yìn ẹ̀, Land Physical Planning. Lórí ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn tó máa ń kó yẹ̀rùpẹ̀ tí wọ́n fi máa ń fìlì ilẹ̀ tí wọ́n máa ń pè ní laterite. Nígbà tá a dé ministry yìí a fèsì ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìdààmú gbódòǹrógan atótónu lórí ọ̀rọ̀ pé wọ́n kólẹ̀ ìjọba o, alébẹ̀ ti wọlé nílẹ̀ o, wọ́n wọlé oko o. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn tó wà ní ilẹ̀ tó wà lẹ́yìn bíbáyìí ní Òkè Pupa wọ́n balẹ̀ oko àwọn jẹ́ o, wọ́n ti wọlé o. Ifun ètò aburú dùn bẹ́ẹ̀ ni pé àwọn ilẹ̀ kan wà tíjọba ti fún àwọn èèyàn tí a ti allocate, àwọn kan lọ síbẹ̀ láti lọ kólẹ̀ wọ́n á gbẹ́lẹ̀ onílẹ̀. So tẹ́lẹ̀ lè bá fẹ́ kọ́lé gan wọ́n á tẹ̀ tún lọ wálẹ̀ míì láti lè fìlì ilẹ̀ tíjọba ti fún wọn. Ìyẹn jẹ́ tí ó fọwọ́ báyàn lẹ́mìí tó dẹ̀ ń dá wa láàmú púpọ̀ fún òní ẹjọ́ ọlá àròyé lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ilẹ̀ yẹn. Ìyẹn ni ó fà á tó ṣe pé ministry wọ́n sọ pé bóyá kí a tiẹ̀ mọ́ tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ ìjọba ní tó máa ń gbà lọ́wọ́ àwọn tó bá kó ìpẹ̀ ní tipa kọ̀ọ̀kan oníye tí wọ́n máa ń wọlé sápò ìjọba lórí ilẹ̀ ìjọba ni o àti lórí ilẹ̀ individual tí wọ́n máa fi ń rent tí wọ́n ń jẹ́ káwọn èèyàn kó pẹ̀lú lórí ẹ̀. But nítorí atótónu yìí ni ministry sọ pé bóyá kó tiẹ̀ má jẹ́ kí wọ́n kó èrùpẹ̀ mọ́ pé àṣẹ ẹ̀fẹ́ kọ́bọ̀ àfẹ́ pa owó lórí ẹ̀ mọ́. But ní ẹ̀pẹ́lẹ́ ìjìnà ìwádìí fi hàn yìí pé n ta torí ẹ̀ ṣòfin pé kí wọ́n má bá àfẹ́ gbowó mọ́ ìwà abijẹ́ ń wù láti kó ìpẹ̀ lórí ilé onílẹ̀ kò dáwọ́ dúró. Máa ń wò pé ó yẹ ká tún ṣe gbèsè mi lórí ẹbí yìí ṣe pé ká jókòó ọ̀nà wo lágbà tá a fi ní jù wọ́n lẹ̀ pátápátá bí kò tá a bá jù wọ́n lẹ̀ pátápátá níta ni wọ́n mọ̀ sí gan wọ́n sì ṣe. Láìpẹ́ yìí mo rántí pé àwọn agbófinró àti PS wọ́n lọ síbẹ̀ mọ́tò tí ń lòdù lórí ilẹ̀ ìjọba ó tó 10 tí táwọn kan sá lọ gbọ́dọ̀ pé bíi tipa méjì péré ni wọ́n mú. Nígbà tí wọ́n mú tipa méjì nígbà tá a tún gbọ́ nínú àwọn tipa tí wọ́n mú yẹn náà àwọn tó gbaṣẹ́ títì wọ́n tún lọ bẹ̀bẹ̀ láti ọ̀dọ̀ works pé kí wọ́n dúró bẹ ministry pé àwọn làwọn ní wọ́n bá wọn kó èèpẹ̀ kí wọ́n á láǹfààní òfin tá a ṣe tá a láàgbowó mọ́. Lẹ́yìn yẹn nígbà tá a sọ pé kí wọ́n mọ̀ ṣe mọ́ yẹn bá a bá wọn dá sí mọ́ mo rí pé ìjọba ń sọ́ọ̀tì ìdísẹ́sì pé àwọn tó ní ilẹ̀ tá a máa gbowó lórí ẹ̀ yàtọ̀ sí ilẹ̀ tìjọba náà àwọn owó ọ̀wọ́lé mọ́ láti ibi kankan máa wò pé èèyàn nìkan ó gbéra ẹ ká tún èrò pa lórí ọ̀rọ̀ èrùpẹ̀ yìí àtòfin tíjọba ó ṣe àti gbèsè mi tá a gbé láti lè mọ mọ́nítọ̀ àwọn tó ń ké èrùpẹ̀ yìí àti láti rí pé owó ń padà wọlé lápò ìjọba. Estate ta ní ó ń lọ bí 16 bọ̀ ìtìjọba sanwó lé lórí ó ń lọ bí tí a ti sanwó compensation ní a máa ń pè tá a ti san tán ó ń lọ bí 6. Ìyẹn ni Òròkì estate phase 1 and 2 Àkòdá Àjàká ní Iléṣà Mọ́remí ní Ifẹ̀. So a dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ìjọba Aṣíwájú Adémọ́lá Jackson Nurudeen Adeleke gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìlérí tí wọ́n ṣe fáwọn aráàlú pé tí a bá ń lẹ̀ tó dáa wọ́n máa ṣekún ètò kù díẹ̀ káàtó wọ́n máa tún ṣe.
OSUN has up to 16 estates situated in different parts of the state. Some of the estates predated the creation of the state. Notable among them, Òròkì, Àjàká, and Mọ́remí housing estate in Òṣogbo, Ilésà, and Ilé-Ifẹ̀ as signposts of ideal housing estates. Since the coming on board of Governor Ademola Adeleke, Osun State Property Development Corporation has been empowered to ensure the preservation of the original architecture and aesthetics of these estates. The corporation is also being reinvigorated to respond to its statutory obligations of opening up new areas within the estate for acquisition and development to willing buyers.
The Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning has gone through periodic upgrading and reforms, which have improved its operational efficiency. The last 2 years have been devoted to ensure that access to lands and landed properties are made seamless for individuals and groups, taking into cognizance adherence to extant laws. Dr. Bolaji Olaoye, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, said digitization of certificate of occupancy has quickened access to land, ensured transparency, eliminated fraud, and kept speculators at bay.
We've noticed that over time people spend a lot of time to get their COO issued to them. So the state government decided to digitize the process. That way, there'll still be paperwork. Those things we get on the net will still be documented in paper. However, you don't have to get to the Ministry of Lands to get most of your work done. The government started with the issue of the surveys, because where people have issues is when they don't have good surveys. Sometimes surveys that were done in the 60s are brought for COO. And since all these issues are now attended to by GIS, it might not conform. So before you start COO now, we must get to the office of the Surveyor General to get survey clearance, because that's where we have issues. If you don't have survey clearance, we can't continue with the process of COO. If you have a good survey that is cleared by the Surveyor General, when it gets to us, from what we have done now, you should be able to receive your certificate within 45 days. However, it must be after you have gotten clearance from the Surveyor General. Before, people brought surveys that were probably even hand-drawn, and they expect to get their COO in no time. It was difficult. But the innovation now is that once you have clearance from the Surveyor General, that means you have a good survey. We can now start the process of the COO proper. And within 45 days from what we have done, you should be able to get your certificate of occupancy. People don't want to obey the laws. However, the ministry is being strict and wants to ensure that everybody obeys laws. Getting building plan is not something the ministry has just started. However, people want to boycott it and build houses, sometimes to their own detriment. If you get to the Ministry of Land, we can know where there are floodplains and we can advise you not to build your house. Obviously, it's not just advice, you won't get approval for such. Some people build their houses on the roads, and when the government is planning to now open up these roads, they start complaining. Most of the time, people hurt themselves while cutting corners. So the Ministry of Lands will come to your station and will keep going to other stations to keep informing people on processes to ensure you get approval for your building plan. And it must be that you come to us, we go to inspect that site and be sure that you can do it. One. And to be sure that what you want to build there is also tolerable for that space. So that you can have your house forever. And I can assure you that as a law-abiding ministry, we will inform people and keep informing them. However, we will enforce to the letter to ensure that our places are planned. It's the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning The physical planning aspect is to ensure that houses are built properly. And we have keyed into that completely. That is more in the office of the Surveyor General. However, at the beginning I told you about ensuring that people get clearance from the Surveyor General's office. We are doing all that. Even surveys and others, COVs that we had gotten over the years, we're uploading them so that people from anywhere in the world can access their COV. People can be sure that there are COVs for land, and people can come here. This is an opportunity to let people know. You can come and register your lands with the Ministry of Land. That way, you are sure. However, there are questions we would ask you to be sure that you own it and you are not coming to register someone else's land as yours. When that process is perfected, even when you want to do sale of your land, people who want to buy can come to the ministry. And once we have a registry of all this land, you can tell them, okay, this person owns it. And if it's somebody else that is planning to sell, you'll be able to run away from such. But the ministry is capable and we're able.
Osun State Government's infrastructural turnaround policy has forged a closer link between government and the people. More than ever before, its urban renewal policy, accommodation of more private estate developing firms, and the reorientation of the local government to enforce town planning rules have had an impactful positive effect on the state. Dr. Olaoye disclosed that the ministry is in a better position to drive the agenda of government at creating a wholesome environment for the people. This is because the ministry knows the nitty-gritty of its statutory responsibilities and is forward-looking to carrying it out.
When you come to us, we will let you know what you can do on your land. You can't use up all the space even on your land because there must be aesthetics. You must also be able to live well. If you build your fence just by your window, how do you breathe well in that house? So those are the things the Ministry of Land does. People abuse it. People cut corners. However, like I said, the ministry will enforce the law. We will bring down those buildings that were built illegally. However, we will let them know why and let everybody know why it is not even healthy to do such things. People using setbacks, I must let you know this. Sometimes government give people setback to use. However, you can't build permanent structures on such setbacks. But there must be evidence that whatever you are putting there is with the knowledge and approval of the ministry. Anybody who does illegal things, we'll go and mark them. And we have the political will to follow through. We can't be everywhere. We can't be everywhere. But ignorance of the law is no excuse. And that's why we're going to engage you to help us give as much publicity so that people don't do the wrong. Some people choose to do the wrong thing. But there's some people, error of omission, do the wrong thing. But it's not even binding or it's not tenable. So we're going to do what we can by way of publicity to let people know. However, those who have done the wrong thing will sooner or later face the full wrath of the law. We also want private people to come and meet us about their land, because if you don't tell me about your land, though I know it's there, I might not know the ownership. But when you come to register ownership, we'll make sure we do due diligence to ensure you are not claiming ownership of someone else's land. And once you have done that, if we can all do that, it will reduce the issue of land grabbers. Because those who come, who don't have any evidence of ownership, those who want to buy such lands can come to the ministry. So those people who have lands everywhere, come to the ministry. We have the capacity to register all the lands in the state with names. So when you come, this land belongs to A. If B comes, obviously he can't sell it except A tells us that he has sold it to B. people who also sell other people's land, litigation, there's nothing a government can do about what he has no knowledge. If the government is aware you own the land, you are registered, and we have done due diligence to know that you own the land, if you go to court, you can call us to give evidence. But if we don't know you own the land, the government can be held. The government can't come and give evidence on a land it doesn't know the ownership. So I'm advising all of us in Osun State, the ministry is here and willing and waiting for you. Come and register your lands. Come and do COVs on your lands. We are capable. With digitization, it makes it easy for us. It makes it easy for you, even from the corner of your rooms, to pass through the process of certificate of occupancy. However, it must be after you have gotten clearance from the Surveyor General that the land is such that we can grant a COV1.
Within 45 days, those who buy or desire to have lands can lay their hands on certificate of occupancy, popularly called COO. Geometric survey, mapping, and identification of land is now made possible, courtesy of the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning, which has had its critical operations restructured and upgraded within 2 years of the Adeleke administration. This is why Osun State has become a nest of private housing developers in the last 2 years, with more being expected as the state government intensifies its infrastructure development programs. That will be all on Living Spring Update, episode 15 this week. On behalf of the production crew, I am Tomilola Daniel, signing off till next week. Bye for now.
Spring Update is a production of the Office of the Spokesperson to the Governor, Governor's Office, Osogbo.